The beginning of the film takes place in the 13th century in the village of Teklia, in the Carpathian Mountains, where Rada Berkut gives an amulet to her youngest son, Maxim, as her husband, Zakhar, stands nearby and listens. She explains that it represents their family. Rada instructs her kid to go hunting with his dad and bring home a meal. Maxim and Ivan, Zakhar's kids, are taught to hunt until they are both powerful men. They welcome their friend Petro, the neighborhood blacksmith. When they return to the community, after the celebration, they will go hunting. Maxim informs him. An elderly guy is conversing with Zakhar, the village chief. In the meantime, the elderly man informs him of the Tugger folk, and how they have been destroying his horse stables and slaughtering his sheep. He is informed by Zakhar that he cannot exile the Tugger folk, without first summoning the council. Knowing him, he probably won't attend the council meeting, so the elderly man dejectedly walks away. Zakhar has an idea when he meets his boys. He informs Maxim that Tugger folk requires assistance from a guide to go bear hunting. He gives Maxim the task of leading the hunt, while also inviting him to attend their upcoming town meeting. Maxim suggests Ivan, since he feels he isn't the best candidate for the job, but Zakhar's choice is final, and Ivan will follow him. Ivan later tells his wife Rosanna that he will go hunting the following day. Bokan, their kid, expresses a desire to go hunting as well, but insists that he must first grow in size and that he will return with a present. Guard, Tugger's right-hand guy, expresses concern to Tugger about the assistance they are receiving during the search. Maxim is startled as a girl riding a horse suddenly rides past. She is Myroslava, Tugger's daughter. Ivan informs him. Myroslava rides in front of the group and successfully hits a bird with an arrow. She unintentionally falls into a concealed pit, so she sounds a horn to signal the others for assistance. When Maxim and Ivan hear this, Ivan summons the others. As Maxim rushes to the source, Myroslava hears a roar and then notices the bear in the pit. The moment the bear approaches, she runs for cover behind a large boulder. As she gets ready, her axe unexpectedly leaps around the boulder. Fortunately, Maxim shows up there and kills the bear by stabbing it with a spear and Myroslava striking it with an axe. They introduce themselves as they both scream for oxygen. By extending an invitation to Tugger to the Tequila town meeting, he claims to be there to support his father. When the hunt is done, Tugger calls for his daughter and instructs her to separate from the others. Tugger then asks Maxim what kind of reward he wants, after helping them escape the hole. At first, Maxim rejects the incentive, but Myroslava points out his father's assignment. Tugger is hesitant at first, but he ultimately decides to attend the conference. Ivan and Maxim return home to tell their father about the successful mission and hunt. Ivan jokes that Maxim has already fallen in love with her. After telling their mother that he has met the boyar's daughter, Rada asks Ivan if he likes Myroslava, the boyar's daughter, but he responds that it doesn't matter, because she is a nobleman's daughter. As he welcomes his wife and son, he is reminded of Ivan and Rosanna's troubled romance by Rada. Even so, they declare that finding love is worth the risk, because they are happy together now. Myroslava is about to leave Tugger's citadel to go gather some berries, when Tugger stops her, saying that the servants can do it but she wants to do it herself. She claims that he never lets her leave the house, and hasn't told her about Teklia. Tugger explains that since the Tequila residents are engaged in a conflict over his land, they risk injury if they let their guard down around them. He then commands her to go to bed, which she does grudgingly. Myroslava is about to go to bed in her chamber, when she screams in amazement to see a man hidden there, but the man soon makes himself known as being Maxim. It was the only way, he adds, to get past her servants. Maxim explains that he is there to extend an invitation to the celebration that evening. It is a lovely occasion for Perun. Myroslava agrees to stop by and inquires as to how they will leave without her watchful father noticing them. He takes some fresh cloaks from the guards and disguises them so they can flee. That evening, the celebrations get underway as everyone sings and dances to the music. As Maxim introduces Myroslava to his parents, Zakhar and Rada, who are both delighted to have her, Myroslava is obviously impressed by the celebrations as they eat, so Maxim asks her to dance with him. Later, Rada gives Myroslava a headband and advises her to treat her son with kindness. Maxim brings Myroslava back to her house on horseback before daybreak, just as his mother, Uncle Kurhan, Rosanna, and Oista are about to depart for Kurhan's hamlet. Maxim returns to his village. Maxim, Ivan, and Petro go hunting afterwards. Oista, who is hiding behind a boulder, emerges at once, terrified. She adds that when they got to Kurhan's hamlet, it had been completely destroyed and left with nothing. Oista just about made it. Ivan requests that she find their father in Tequila and tell him what transpired. They see numerous dead bodies and the burning remains of Kurhan's village. As they rush there, they come across their uncle Kurhan, who is badly hurt but only speaks a few words. He claimed they had taken Rada and Rosanna with his last breath, but he was unable to identify their captors. Petro is informed by Maxim that it is too late to burn the bodies, and they take off in search of the murderers. After some searching, they locate them in a settlement and learn the Mongolians were attacked. As they covertly enter the settlement, they discover Rada, Rosanna, and other women imprisoned in a cage. Ivan gives Maxim the command to find their mother, and he and Petro are to take Rosanna and the others. Ivan kills the guard from behind by using Rosanna's distraction as cover, while Maxim takes down the man attempting to shoot at his mother and Bohun. Rosanna is asked by Ivan to accompany Petro in taking the women to safety. After they have been freed, the man gets up and starts to fight them, hurting Rada, but Maxim manages to accidentally kill him and take his amulet. Maxim continues to engage in combat, and divert the attention of the Mongols, as Ivan drags their hurt mother to a cave. Bohun wants to go outside and murder the Mongolians. When Maxim and Bohun arrive at the cave, he hesitantly agrees when Maxim warns him that going alone will result in his death. Rada is saying her final goodbyes when Maxim discovers her. The following day, Burunda Khan, a formidable Mongolian general, visits the village and discovers his deceased son. He grieves and discovers Maxim's amulet. Ivan carries their deceased mother back to Tukwila. With the help of the others, they burn their dead while lamenting their losses. Burunda, on the other hand, gives Merk, his right-hand man, the assignment to identify the amulet's owner. Zakar assures the populace at the town meeting that they will settle their differences with Tugger Folk, because they must band together with him and his troops to stand firm against the Mongols. Tugger Folk and his troops then show up. Tugger and Zakar agree to a duel. If Tugger's man prevails, Tugger will be allowed to remain in Tukwila and they will submit to his reign. His servants will be Zakar's sons. Tugger will still collect his troops and engage the Mongols in battle, alongside them on an equal footing if Zakar's guy succeeds. Maxim persuades his father to pick him to participate in the battle, and he does. Ivan hands him his amulet, while advising Maxim on how to make the most of his size. Guard serves as Tugger's fighter, and Maxim and Guard engage in combat with just one weapon apiece. Label of coward. In the end, he consents to fight beside him against the Mongols. Myroslava, who has been disguised, approaches Maxim after the battle, and expresses her sorrow about his mother, but he expresses his gratitude that she got to meet her. She assures him they will speak shortly. As Merk approaches, the Mongolians are deciding how to attack the valley. He identifies himself to Burundi as a resident of Tuklia, a community located higher up on the slope. Burunda makes the decision to travel to the highlands, and gives Merk the task of searching the local communities for the men who killed his son. Later, Merk and his minions terrorize and murder the villagers. As they scour the communities for the owner of the amulet, Burunda questions Tugger Folk about the amulet. While visiting his house, a bloodied guard manages to flee, in the meantime, and makes it to Tukwila. He informs Zakar and Maxim that Tugger Folk and Myroslava have been captured by the Mongols. They are now resisting, but time is running out. Zakar gives Maxim the command to grab his brother and go to the Mongols, who number 20 or more. They get there swiftly, but as soon as Guard signals, they realize it's a trap. Myroslava chastises her father afterwards for betraying his people and breaking his pledge. While she calls him a coward for doing so, Tugger contends that sacrificing one family will save countless more, which is what a true leader does. Maxim and his men were ambushed, at the same time the Guard's men, whom they believed to be dead, were acting otherwise. Maxim urges them to retire inside the home, because they are trying to fend them off but there are too many of them. Burunda and Tugger are waiting outside the fortress for Maxim's people to be vanquished. Tugger, according to Burunda, is clearly weak because he so easily submitted to him. Hence he can never achieve his goal for power. Tugger is permitted to save his house. As Bohun fires at him, Tugger tries to reason with Maxim's men to get them to submit, but they refuse. Tugger thus decides to set it on fire, and his soldiers begin to throw flaming arrows into the building. Maxim intends to attack Tugger's soldiers. While hiding behind the smoke, Maxim kills Guard in the ensuing confrontation between the two of them. Some of Tugger's troops are persuaded by Ivan to fight alongside them against the Mongols. Ivan tries to stop Maxim as he races to assault Burunda in the wilderness after they have fled the blazing stronghold. Burunda, who is amused, prepares his poisoned arrows. Maxim then swings his axe at Burunda, but his soldier blocks it, causing the shot to miss Ivan's neck. Tugger is told by Burunda to turn their heads towards him. Tugger gives the order to shoot flaming arrows at them, but most of them manage to flee, as Myroslava's appearance causes Tugger to give the order to halt the arrows. Soon after returning to their settlement, Maxim and the others notify Zakar that Tugger has joined forces with the Mongols. Ivan then passes out, and it is discovered that he has been poisoned. Bokan and Rosanna show up as he draws his final breaths. Maxim finds Myroslava waiting for him as he steps outdoors. At first, he is suspicious of her, but she explains that her father is merely afraid of Burundi. She is ready to go when he stops her and gives her a deep hug, in sorrow over the passing of his brother. The community is then informed by Zakar that the entire Mongol army is approaching and that a plot to flood Tuklia by rupturing the dam will allow them to flee the Mongols. To prevent them from entering so that the people can flee, Maxim will command a group of men by the entrance, so they get their guns ready and get to work breaking the dam. Maxim confesses his love to Miroslava later that evening, and the two of them have a sexual encounter in the moonlight. The following day, Miroslava directed the archers, as a group of troops under Maxim repelled the approaching Mongols. The initial wave of the Mongolian army is routed by them, and they learn that the Tuklians have left the village. Burunda learns that the Tuklians are battling valiantly and that they must flee. He then gives Tugger the order to obliterate the village. When Petro and Maxim discover a child, who was left behind in the village, Maxim gives Petro the command to go get the child. While he fights off the Tugger and the Mongols, while killing some of them, Maxim is captured. When Maxim is nowhere to be found, Petro appears at the dam carrying the child, and Zakhar gives the order to demolish the dam. While Burunda makes fun of the captured Maxim, the Mongols set fire to the settlement. Merk is instructed by Burunda to ride ahead and count the remaining residents. When Merk discovers them, he instructs his men to release the locals to move the rock. The others are trying to break the dam. When Bohun and Miroslava enter the battle, only Petrol is left after many of them are murdered, yet he manages to move the boulder that bursts the dam. Burunda, Tugger, and Maxim succeed in gaining a higher vantage point. Maxim is saved from being killed by Burunda by Tugger, who also uses him to bargain with Zakhar. Burunda murders Tugger after he kills his guards. In an attempt to free Maxim, Burunda and Maxim engage in combat, until Maxim kills him with his sword, as Zakhar succumbs to his injuries, and Maxim and Miroslava consider the people they will be guiding. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it, to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.